Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minion with me this evening is Tyr.
What up?
And, of course, I'm the host for the evening, as it is once again a Friday. Sanguine, how are you doing tonight, Tyr?
I'm doing well, my friend.
That's good to hear. And I'm doing rather well. I just had a delicious dinner. It was bacon, scallops, shishito peppers, in a Thai pepper, soy, and garlic sauce, served on rice with some shishito and green onion skewers. It was fucking delicious. Oh
Yeah.
god.
So I'll leave the money on the counter when I come through. Just leave my plate there.
And Rotten is apparently again going for the Z grade meat of Taco Bell.
Well, I hope you like horse meat.
Horse is actually fairly tasty.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I've never had a horse.
I have a rule that if I am given the chance of consuming an animal that is not poisonous for me to consume, I'm going to consume said animal.
I would love to try a horse. It's not, like I said, it's not poisonous. It's just I've never had it.
Yeah, and it is fairly tasty. You can try horse in Japan.
Ooh.
Japan has a decent amount of horse. There's a number of other areas, but Japan was where I had it.
Okay. Is it the? I could have sworn with the attack. I can't find her.
Oh,
her
are
name.
you trying? Oh, Georgia Maloney.
There it is. I kept wanting to say Macron, but it's not, and it's Maloney. Okay.
Yep, Maloney. But yeah, in Japan, you can find horse meat as well as horse meat sashimi. Basashi is horse meat sashimi.
Okay.
Fresh, thinly sliced, you eat it raw, just like the rest of sashimi.
All right. Now I realize I have to go to Japan so I can try horse meat.
Yep.
I'm gonna eat Mr. Ed.
Yes. But yeah, like I said, it's fairly tasty. I had both cooked horse meat as well as raw horse meat.
Okay.
I preferred the cooked horse meat just because textural issue.
Okay. It does, again, that does sound fucking tasty.
Oh, it is tasty as hell. It is an extremely lean meat, depending on which part of the horse it's from. And due to that, sometimes it can be a bit tough if it's cooked too long, or it can be very tender, which is one of the reasons why it is often served as basashi, since that doesn't allow the meat to toughen up as it cooks.
Okay.
It's kind of like how you have steak tartare is the fillet, and the fillet is the least intramuscular fat of pretty much any cut of beef. But yeah, you can get other sorts as well. So you have the sashi, you have bagushi, and a number of other dishes that are all horse meat.
Sanguine, you make me hungry. Stop.
Like I said, though, if there's a chance to eat an animal that won't poison me, and I'm given that chance, I'm going to eat the animal.
So you would eat a dog?
I've eaten dog.
Really?
Yeah, I had dog when I was in China. I was tricked into it, but I had it.
Was it tasty?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't worth eating a dog. I felt bad about eating dog.
the line between pet and food is a thin one.
Yeah. I'll eat rabbits. Rabbits are fucking delicious.
I would
There's
love to try
absolutely...
duck.
Duck is amazing.
Mhm.
There's a couple different ways that you can do duck. If you can get a really good duck breast, cook it up medium rare.
Mhm.
Oh, good God. Duck breast is fantastic. Do duck breast score the skin side so that you get really crispy skin and that fat renders out nicely.
Mhm.
Pan sear it and then do a mushroom and red wine sauce.
Oh, you lost me on mushrooms. Down with the
You don't like...
fungus.
Is it a texture issue?
It is a texture issue. If something has mushrooms on it naturally, I don't mind eating mushrooms. I just don't like
The problem
texture.
that you have is people cook mushrooms wrong.
It's possible.
Because if you like the taste of mushrooms, it is entirely people are cooking mushrooms wrong. Since if you read fucking any recipe, they always tell you to throw mushrooms in at the wrong point in the process. Every single fucking recipe. Does not matter who it's from. Every recipe that I have read that includes mushrooms in the meal has you throw them in at the worst possible time to cook your mushrooms. In order to make mushrooms right, you have to dry fry those little bastards.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with what dry frying means?
No, sir.
So dry fry means you throw them into a hot pan without any fat or the thinnest, most almost non-existent amount of fat in the pan, and then a pinch of salt.
Okay.
And you do that because mushrooms are more water than we are by a
Makes sense.
wide margin.
Makes sense. They're a plant.
It's the reason why there's a lot of people that will say mushrooms are impossible to burn, because mushrooms are functionally impossible to burn. In order to burn a mushroom, you first have to completely desiccate the mushroom before it is dry enough to actually burn rather than just release a
Boil.
bit of extra moisture. So you throw mushrooms into a dry pan, good pinch of salt, and you let them give up all that moisture. You get them colored up, and then you start adding in everything else.
Okay.
And the texture changes completely. It goes from... The part that you don't like is probably mushrooms can get kind of rubbery when they're thrown in at the wrong point.
Yeah.
When you dry fry them, they tear in the most beautiful fashion.
Okay.
It's almost like meat, where you get those strands of the meat fiber, of the muscle fiber.
Mm-hmm.
In it, mushrooms kind of have the same thing, where the mycelium strands kind of tear in the same fashion.
Mm-hmm.
They're absolutely delicious when cooked right. The problem is, again, fucking everyone, for some goddamn reason, has this policy of if they're going to put out a recipe, they're going to tell you to add mushrooms at the wrong point.
6 says, agree, duck is tasty. Orange sauce duck is my favorite.
That's a good one. My two favorites are, like I said, just a simple pan-seared duck breast in a red wine mushroom sauce, or Peking duck is absolutely ridiculous and delicious. If you can get proper Peking duck, oh, good fucking God.
I've never had Peking duck.
Well, you're in the greater Baltimore, D.C. area, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone down to Nova,
Never heard of it.
Northern Virginia? It's just
no.
a little bit south of you?
Nope. I've only been as far down as DC, and I've only been as far north as New York.
So if you go a little bit further south than DC, you get into Nova. And
Uh-huh.
in Nova, it's in, want to say Seven Corners. Let me quickly double check the location. But I want to say there's a restaurant in Seven Corners that is known as the Peking Inn. And it is one of, if not the. Oh, okay. So I just double checked. It's in Falls Church, which is right near that Seven Corners area.
Okay.
And it is the Chinese restaurant that the presidents end up going to.
Ooh.
And they serve up Peking duck. And it is properly done Peking duck. The skin is amazing. They do all three cuts. So when you have Peking duck, there's a bit of a competition between the chefs that cook Peking duck. The more slices of Peking duck that you can get, and the more different types of slices of Peking duck that you can get, the more skilled you are.
Okay.
So a really good Peking duck place will give you at least 3 different sorts of slices. So you'll have the skin only slice, you'll have the meat only slice, and you'll have the meat and skin slice. And they're cut at such an extreme angle. If it's a really good place, the meat and skin slices are about 50% skin, 50% meat.
Ooh.
Which is where the skill comes in, getting that angle perfect to get that sort of slice. But you get that, the little pancakes that they do, it's kind of like crepe, but it's a different sort of pancake, but very similar in texture. So you get that pancake, you put on a little bit of the plum sauce, some green onion, and then you lay on one of the sorts of slices of duck that you get. I tend to recommend you go skin, meat, skin, and meat is the order that you should try them in. And it is amazing. But like I said, that's just down in Falls Church, which is not far away. It's just south of DC.
Well, I just looked up a place in my area, my neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you make my fat ass want to try it, you bastard.
Yep. But the thing is, there's a lot of places that say that they serve Peking duck. There's not that many places that properly do.
Makes sense.
Though there was a place, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I want to say it was in Rockville. That was also an absolutely insane Chinese place. And they had, I went there once and I noticed that on their menu they had garlic stuffed intestines.
Yeah.
Oh, you think, but if it's done right, oh, good fucking God, it's amazing. Because they clean out the intestines properly, and then you get just, think like a garlic sausage almost.
Okay.
So you get the crisp skin, which is the intestine, and then you get this sweetened garlic from it being cooked up so quickly. And it just absolutely melts in the mouth. It is delicious. But it's one of those things that if it's done wrong, oh yeah, it is god-awful. But if it's done right, oh good God, it's amazing.
I have to try it now. I have to go and hunt down this Peking duck.
And I want to say the place in Rockville that had really good Chinese food had like one of the dumbest Chinese restaurant names. It was something like Bob's or some shit like that. And you're going, that isn't fucking Chinese. And then you tried and you're going, oh my god.
It is Chinese.
Though, hands down, the most authentic Chinese restaurant that I've been to is in Minnesota thus far.
What would that one called?
That one, if you're ever in the Twin Cities, there's a place called the Tea House.
Mm-hmm.
That's in Minneapolis. Everything on that menu is delicious. You cannot go wrong, though the two dishes that I would absolutely recommend are the tea smoked duck, which is just duck that's smoked over lapsashong tea, which is a very strange tea in and of itself. It's a black tea that's smoked over bamboo, but absolutely delicious. And the Szechuan jiazi. Those are the two dishes that I would absolutely recommend. They also have other fantastic things that are hard to find, like they have guobaro, which guobaro is difficult to find. They don't always have guobaro, but when they have it, if you're there, get the guobaro. It's delicious. What guobaro is it's a very specific sort of sweet and sour.
Mm-hmm.
Where they take very thinly sliced pork, then they dredge it in, I believe it's potato starch. They fry those little bastards up ridiculously crisp. And then they throw it in this sauce that, you know how most sweet and sour sauces are that neon orange?
Yeah.
This isn't. This is a golden yellow. And it is citrusy and kind of honey sweet rather than just sugar sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this bright, citrusy, sour, and honey sweet sauce on this pork, and there's something about the guobaro sauce that when you eat something spicy with it, you taste everything more. So you get the guobaro, and then you get something really nice and spicy with it. And the pairing between the two just causes the flavor to bloom in your mouth even more. It's amazing.
Stop it, Sanguine. You make me hungry.
Oh, I do that to everyone. I have that effect on people.
Like, God damn it. And Jen in chat says, baby back. Baby back ribs.
Mm-hmm. Some of the best rib places. Are you a Memphis, Kansas, Texas, or Piedmont barbecue?
Texas barbecue.
You go Texas?
Oh, yeah.
What about for your ribs? Is it still Texas? Do you like that dry rub versus the either tomato base or the
dry
vinegar
rub
or mustard? Say
dry
again?
Dry rub.
Dry rub?
When I make my ribs, I put a dry rub. I like to make mine in the slow cooker now.
Yep.
Dry
That's a good way if you don't have a smoker.
Yeah, dry rub on it, and then I put enough barbecue sauce in there to coat it,
to glaze them.
Yeah, to glaze them, but not fully, to cover them, and then leave it there for the rest of the day, about 8 hours, and then heaven.
But with your barbecue sauce, do you do a mustard base, a tomato base, or a vinegar base?
I would say it's tomato base.
Tomato? Okay. So you're more in that Kansas style barbecue sauce.
I didn't know.
Yeah, the difference is, if I remember the three major sorts, because it's Kansas is the tomato base. Let me double check. I want to say it's Kansas is tomato base. Then you have the Piedmont is this white mustard base.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Carolina, and you have two different types of Carolina, because you have one Carolina, which is a very heavy vinegar base, and the other sort of Carolina, which is a mustard of vinegar base.
Again, sounds tasty.
I'm a real big fan of the vinegar base Carolina, because when you do ribs right, they have kind of innate sweetness. So piling more sweetness on with the tomato-based sauce doesn't make as much sense to me as adding that amazing tang of a vinegar sauce.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to say it was Carolina. And I'm trying to remember if it's which Carolina it is that has the mustard and vinegar and which one has the straight vinegar.
Okay. God damn you, Sanguine, make me hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to lose weight, not put more on, you bastard.
Yep. See, this is a problem with trying to lose weight when you know how to cook.
Yes.
You have to be particularly strict with what you do and how you do it, because you can make food that, oh good God, you don't want to stop eating.
Yes. God damn it, Sanguine. Can we talk about something else other than food? Because if we keep this up, I'm gonna be on the goddamn menu ordering shit I don't need.
Like going to a grocery store hungry.
Yes, that's not good. Don't never do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you said that you had the gay U-turns that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so in LA, if I'm not mistaken, San Francisco, one of those California places, they took down a shit ton of like U-turn signs, and because what I heard when I looked at it, because I heard it through the Black Conservative, they apparently the area was starting to get a gay population, and they put the signs up so they couldn't cruise for gay for sex in that area, which makes no fucking sense.
No, it makes sense. They were trying to avoid gay prostitution.
Yeah, but if you really wanted to do something, you could just keep going. You know, it wasn't like from my understanding of the area, it's not like there's a cul-de-sac or something. It's just one straight line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and apparently they took them down, which makes no fucking sense. Why are we catering to these people?
Yeah, it's definitely strange, but it is also hilarious that they went, this is a gay area, let's put up no U-turn signs. That way we can avoid people just circling, trying to get a gay prostitute. And then they came back and they went, nah, that is homophobic to not want prostitution in this area. Let's get rid of these signs.
Yes. You know, I'm a pretty decent guy. I don't want to bother nobody, but some of this dumb shit is pissing me off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I keep trying to. Every time I want to say, you know, live and let live, they make me want to go, yeah, fuck you guys.
Yeah. It's one of those things that every now and then you have specific activists that will set back whatever they're trying to advocate for goddamn centuries.
Yes.
Because
they let them do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like very few people have a problem with gay people in general. As long as they're the sorts of gay people that they're a person that happens to be gay, and it isn't their entire identity is being the gayest person to have ever existed.
Yes.
And there's a massive difference between those two categories. This is something that I talk about when it comes to why certain characters in different types of media annoy the ever-living shit out of me. Because there's a difference between a gay character and a character who happens to be gay.
Yes.
And you can have a character who happens to be gay with him being gay as a central point in the story, but it's still the character happens to be gay. And you could have a character who is the gay character, that it doesn't fucking matter at all for the story, but they're gay. Did you know that they're gay? They're so fucking gay. Did you hear that they're gay? How about this gay character in this? Did you know that the gay character's gay? He likes doing butt stuff with other men. And you're just going, I don't fucking care. Move on. And there's...
have you ever read the, it was Mercedes Lackey, her Skin Changer series, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember.
All right, so the reason why I bring this up is there is a werewolf in that series who is fairly powerful, who happens to be gay, but his character isn't, all gay. It stands out because the way she plays her werewolves, they want to procreate. Like their mission, part of their existence is like, we have to have children to spread, because you're born a werewolf. And he bucks that tradition, but he's also one of the most powerful werewolves in like this district where the story takes place. And like he gets into a fight with a fellow werewolf, and the other guy transforms, but he doesn't. And and the main character asks him later, why didn't you transform? Because he says, I knew if I transformed, I'd kill him. I would hurt him because he can't beat me. Even as a human, in my human form, he can't touch me. But I didn't want to kill him. I wanted to put him down and stop him, but I didn't want to hurt him. And it proved above all else, he loves his pack. Him being gay is like oh, well, okay, you're gay. And moving on.
There's another character that I always point to because it is probably one of the best characters that happens to be gay in most of the literature that I've read. There's a series, the Black Magician trilogy, followed by the Traitor Queen trilogy by Trudy Caravan.
Okay.
And the premise is that it's a medieval world, magic exists, there's a university that this one series of kingdoms and alliance has put together, where everyone that is capable of magic that they find goes to the university and they learn how to do magic.
Okay.
And then the university distributes these magic users back among the kingdoms so that every kingdom is about on par with each other when it comes to magic ability.
Okay.
And there isn't one that's just able to go, you know what, fuck you guys, we have all the wizards. Suck our dick.
Really quickly, the books, it's not Mercedes Lackey, it was Patricia Briggs.
Ah, okay.
That was who I think of. I don't know why I said Mercedes Lackey. Patricia Briggs.
But yeah, so in the series, it focuses around... So the first one focuses around this academy and a girl that ends up going. One of the main characters of the series is a character that, at the start, there's rumors that he was gay. There's all kinds of talk because what the nobles of the various kingdoms that are part of this alliance do is they always want to get their noble scions into the academy.
Okay.
So it's a shit ton of noblemen, and then people that are naturally skilled with magic as well. And one of these noble scions is an extremely capable sorcerer. There's all this work put into if a noble family finds out that one of their children is magically capable, they start effectively pimping them out.
Oof.
Because that's a way of their family gaining more. You want to get in good with us, right? Because if you get in good with us, then we can arrange a marriage between your children and our children, and then your grandchildren will have magic. So there's this entire world built up of aristocracy having magic because they keep on breeding magic into each other.
Okay.
And that being a major focus of a noble family. They find out that one of their children has magic, they send them off to the academy, and then after the academy, it's pretty much, you're going to fuck, and you're going to have a lot of children. So, one of the people at the academy, a senior magician of the academy, had rumors the entire time that he was going through the academy that he was gay. He denied them fervently. And there wasn't much evidence to it throughout most of the stories. Then he's sent as an ambassador to another kingdom, and it turns out, yep, dude's gay. But by that point, they had built everything else about the character to the point where you couldn't just go, oh yeah, that's the gay character. Because no, he wasn't the gay character. He was brilliant. He was very, very fucking capable. And he wasn't capable in the way that everyone else suddenly becomes an idiot around them, so they're the most capable person in the room. No, he was capable in the normal sense of capable, where everyone else was still able to do what they were able to do. It wasn't just people were becoming stupid around him as some sort of weird fucking X-Men-like ability to decrease IQs in his proximity. It was, this character was legitimately smart, was really fucking good at what he was doing. The reason why he became a diplomat was he was excellent at convincing people. And that's shown throughout the entire series. And it isn't just, oh, people say that he's excellent at convincing people. And then he goes up to someone and goes, well, you should do this. Okay, I should do that. No. You see throughout the entire fucking story, this guy actually be an amazing diplomat and an amazing communicator. And then he gets sent out on this diplomatic mission, and he's doing extremely well. And then he ends up accidentally charming another man. And there's this, well, that makes sense. And then there's a moment of, oh, okay. And it isn't, now this character is just what he likes to do with his bits. He's still the same character that he was before. And now it's this conflicted note of, well, fuck. Shit, I've been trying to avoid all this bullshit. And you get that element. But it isn't the main focus. He's a side character. But it's a side character that element plays into the rest of the story, so I don't have a problem with that being part of the story.
Yeah.
Whereas the people that get pissed off that, well, Dumbledore wasn't overtly gay. Dumbledore was the fucking principal. If you knew who the fuck your principal was fucking, there's some bigger problems at your school.
Exactly. There are far more problems at your school. And even then, it was a side. She said it. Now, when the author says something, I will always agree with them no matter what, because that's their world. They are their gods. They are their creators. Yo, functional. And
I will do that unless it directly conflicts with what was shown in the world.
Yeah,
And
okay,
I'll
I
go
agree.
into that here in a moment.
But the shit with Dumbledore being gay, it's
Mm-hmm.
irrelevant to the story being told.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't know who Dumbledore was sleeping with because honestly, it wasn't his story. He was a side character. He was a he wasn't a protagonist. He was more like a mentor figure.
Yep,
You
there
know,
were, I think,
go ahead.
3 professors that you knew what their sexuality was.
McGonagall,
Oh, 4 if you want to count McGonagall. Which, that
McGon-
wasn't ever really overt, but there were 3 that were overt.
who?
It was, of course, Snape.
Well, yeah,
Snape,
because he
you
was
knew.
lusting after Harry's mom.
Yeah, he wanted to get it in Lily Potter. You knew that. That was a central point of the story, was dude wanted to fuck Harry's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Then the 2 others... Oh, sorry, there's also an additional one. So you have Hagrid, who counts as a professor because he did teach for at least a year in story.
Okay.
And he clearly wanted to fuck the giantess.
Oh, well, being half giant himself, of course he would want to fuck a giantess.
Yeah, he wanted to fuck the giantess. It was made very clear dude wanted to fuck the giantess. So you knew Hagrid's sexuality. You knew Snape's sexuality. And the other main 2 that you knew the sexuality of were Flitwick and Sprout.
Okay.
Do you remember how you knew their sexuality?
I've never read the books, but I've seen some of the movies. How?
Okay, so in the books, there's during the Goblet of Fire, when all the schools are getting together and they have their massive ball,
Mm-hmm.
Hogwarts puts together dancing lessons for everyone
Okay.
in order to make sure that they don't embarrass themselves when the ball happens. So here's your chance to learn how to fucking dance like actual goddamn people.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the dancing lessons, and then throughout the ball itself, there's several mentions of Flitwick and Sprout dancing together and being extremely close. And it was done in this way that it was this, that is extremely sweet sort of presentation, rather than, oh yeah, dude's fucking her. It was just this, aw, they have a crush on each other sort of feeling to the way that it was expressed. Because it was...
They went inside each other. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it was like, at one point, it was mentioned that one of them, I can't remember which one, had been invited to dance and the other one's just watching them dance the entire time, and then quickly, once the song ends, asks them to dance, and then they go off to dance with each other. Which, again, very sweet, gets across the message that these 2 professors are actually attracted to each other and care about each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Hagrid very clearly wanted to fuck a giantess. Snape very clearly wanted to fuck Lily Potter. Those were the only ones that I can think of that had very overt, this is what this professor's into.
Well, for Snape's, it was relevant to the story. There was a
Yep.
reason why he was helping Harry. You know, I loved your mama.
Yep. There was a reason why he both helped and hated.
Yeah. Your father is the one that got her, and I'm not your father. That's essentially what it is.
Yep. You are the reminder that I will never have what I most wanted.
Yes.
But also, you're the only reminder that I have of her. So it led to this very, I fucking hate you, but I'm going to help you. Because you're so much like your fucking father, but you have your mother's eyes.
Like I hate the fuck from your father, but your mother.
Yeah, like I said, it's the, you look exactly like your father, except you have your mother's eyes.
Yes.
And it was relevant to the story. And with the Sprout and Flitwick, it wasn't really relevant to the story. It was just something that added some depth to the world in a believable fashion, because that's the sort of way that you would find out in a school that, oh, these two teachers have the hots for each other, without it being something that you're going, okay, they should not be doing this in front of the children.
Like they really shouldn't be, you know. Shit. Again, you could tell. I don't have an issue with gay characters. What I like you said is the over Doctor Who. The current Doctor Who isn't Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The Doctor was never sexually interested in anybody. He was already a grandfather, so I'm assuming he had a Time Lord wife.
Well, there's the entire storyline of the daughter of the Doctor.
Yeah. Well, the daughter of the Doctor was no. Well, he. Yeah. Oh no, that was a clone. Technically, that was a clone of his, but his first iteration, not William Hartnell. Was it William Hartnell? I think it was William Hartnell. Had a granddaughter. Like he traveled with his granddaughter in like the first couple of years as the Doctor before he regenerated into Peter Pertwee.
Oh yeah, the daughter of the Doctor is the clone. What's the other one? Because there was it the Bride of the Doctor? There was another episode where it was very clear that it was the woman that they were traveling. Yeah, they were traveling in opposite directions in the timeline, effectively, with how their interactions kept on happening.
Yeah, River Song.
Yep.
It was Matt Smith's. I think it was his second. No, it was his first season.
Well, with River Song, it was throughout the entire new Doctor, because the first time that River Song's character popped up,
her death in Silence in the Library.
Yeah, it was during Tennant, and then she popped up several times in Tennant, and there was the mention.
No, she only popped up once. She only popped up once. She popped up once in Tenet, which was Silence in the Library, and then she told him she knew his name. And that was like, holy shit, why do you know my name? And then Matt Smith had his second season, because the first season he did, was this his second season? Yeah, it was the second season, because that's when we found out that Amy is pregnant. His first season was Amy pregnant when they go to save her. No, that was his first season was the Pandora, the silence, not the silence. Where they trap him in the Pandora's box, and then Roy becomes the man who waited. And then the second season is the merge of River Song, where we find out that Melanie River Song was actually Melody Pond, and she had Time Lord regeneration. And then they get married toward the end, and then the Silence Falls is the third season where he meets Clara, the girl who is the key to everything.
Because it was the only new Doctor that hadn't met River Song was Eccleston.
Yeah,
and that was just because Eccleston had such a short-lived career, unfortunately.
I really wish he should have did another season of Doctor Who.
Yeah. Eccleston was fantastic, and I loved... He was the angry Doctor post-war.
Yes.
And it made beautiful sense. I do love Tennant. Tennant was amazing. Tennant is the Doctor that I think of when I think of Doctor Who, because he just fucking loved the character. And
what was it? If Matt Smith is the oncoming storm, Tennant would be the silent rage, because the shit he did to the Family Blood was fucking poetically cruel.
Oh yeah, and that was the thing with Tennant. Tennant had this ability to go from extremely calm and happy and lovely sort of doctor that you're going, hell yes, this is amazing, to
punishment mode.
Suddenly he's scary as fuck. And then the next moment it was heartbreaking. And then the next moment he's back to joviality. And that it was this. The doctor was trying to find out who the fuck the doctor was with Tennant.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked because it was in between the rage of the Ninth and the more lax 11th, where it was this constant interplay of the world's amazing, I love this, and this needs to fucking die.
The Time Lord victorious.
Yeah.
But the shit he did to the family blood was just fucking insane. Trap somebody in the event horizon of a black hole forever. Trap somebody in a fucking every mirror in all of existence. And then wrap the father in like unbreakable chains forged in the heart of a dwarf star. And then for the son, you're gonna watch the fields of England for all time. As a scarecrow. Fucking you wanted immortality. I gave you immortality.
Yep. Yeah, it was the Tennant. Like I said, he's the doctor that I think of when I think of the Doctor.
All right,
it's him now. And fourth.
Tom Baker.
Yep.
Tom Baker. My favorite doctors. Tom Baker. Then from Tom Baker with the Colin Firth. So number 6, Celery Man. And then it's Tennant, and that's it. Because everybody else has, those are my 3.
Like I said, for me, it's those 2, and then I would put Eccleston up there. It's just he didn't have enough time.
I mean, he had some really strong episodes. Like,
he did.
I would have loved to see him dealing with the Master.
Yep. And Cannibalistic gives one of the best lines from Doctor Who is the look up the Doctor under cause of death. And just the reaction as it's, oh, you have a very respectable. You have a. Oh. This. I think this is broken. Oh. And it's just that as it keeps on counting, the guy's face just keeps on falling. Everyone runs away.
Yeah. Man, what was the I would have loved to see Donna Noble get a second season immediately after her first. Like, I think the meta crisis should have been extended far longer than like an episode.
Dr. Donna was absolutely amazing, though.
Yeah, like they could have had the whole season of like the doctor trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with her, and have her glitching out like crucial moments, and then coming back. Oh yeah, I have the answer now, and then realize, holy shit, it's burning your brain. You can't deal with this. I gotta send you home. Like she really should have got a second season, and the meta crisis should have been extended.
Though another one of the companions that I liked, though not a lot of people did,
Martha.
Yeah, Martha.
I think Martha should have got a second season.
Martha was fantastic. It's just so many people absolutely loved Rose that when it wasn't Rose, they were pissed off. But Martha
I fucking hated Rose.
Yeah. I was not as much of a fan of Rose. I preferred Martha and then Donna. And really, it's Donna and then Martha in the order of my preference.
Because Donna was more the all right. So if you look at the three characters, Billy Piper's Rose was a kid. Um, Martha was fairly older, a young adult, 20 something, and then you had the adult Donna who didn't take his shit.
Well, the way that I looked at it was with Rose. Rose was completely enamored.
Yeah.
With Martha, Martha was in awe, but not enamored. And she was able to go, what the fuck's going on? And then Donna was the actual companion, where she wasn't really in awe. She wasn't enamored. She was there and dependable, and she was willing to call bullshit when bullshit needed to be called.
Yeah.
And she was also the, come on, don't be so fucking serious element of it, which was absolutely needed.
Shit, her first episode when she was in The Bride, was it The Bride? I forget the name of the episode with her when she was getting married, and
Yep.
she goes, "Doctor, that's a fucking enough. Stop. Like, you're done."
Mm-hmm.
Like, her being able to call him out stopped him from going overboard. And I really wish they would have played that up again in another second season for her. Shit, I would love to see Martha get a second season and her slowly realize, like, he doesn't love me. It's not me he loves.
Mm-hmm.
He's still in love with Rose.
Yeah.
Which makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, I didn't get the romance with that, but like I said, Donna was the actual companion to my mind. The others were enamored and in awe, rather than standing on their own and being able to go, no, this is who I am, this is what I care about. It was, oh, but the doctor's so fucking cool. Or, I love him. But Donna didn't have that, I love him. Donna had the, you're my friend, stop talking horse shit. Let's fucking do this.
We gotta plan, like, oi, spaceman, we gotta plan it to save.
Yep.
Okay.
She was the one to call him on his shit.
I really wish. Oh, go ahead.
To do so in a way that it wasn't out of nowhere, and it didn't feel like, oh, so she's the one that's really clever. No. She realizes she isn't half as clever. But she also realizes that he's kind of fragile from time to time. And he needs that slap. We have shit to do. We can worry about the what ifs and what might be and what could have been after we figure this shit out. Right now, we have to make sure that it doesn't end up as all the bad possibilities.
We gotta make sure reality doesn't burn.
Yeah. Let's fucking focus. Let's get this job done. And that was also why Dr. Donna hit so well. Because with Dr. Donna, it was... Now, not only is she... Because throughout, she was almost his equal, if not superior, on an emotional level.
Yes.
But then during Dr. Donna, that short bit of Dr. Donna,
she was his equal intellectually.
Yeah, she was just up, and it was back and forth between them intellectually, which was that, oh shit. And it kind of snapped him out of shit when he was worrying, whereas with Martha, Martha was not stupid by any stretch of the imagination,
But she wasn't as clever.
but she wasn't anywhere near his level. And Rose, she was sweet, but
A
she
kid.
wasn't. Yeah, she couldn't do any of the shit that the doctor did. Dr. Donna, she fucking could. And it was earned. It wasn't just, well, we're going to make him suck. No, he was still as brilliant as ever. It was just, she was virtually as brilliant, but she didn't have all the baggage, and she wasn't as broken, because that was the whole thing with the Doctor. From Eccleston through Tennant was the Doctor, as brilliant as he is, as amazing as he can be, he was fucked up. And he was fucked up with guilt over everything that he did because he couldn't completely reach the point where he went, this was needed. And he tried to account for that. He tried first way too hard to dive into anger, which was the Eccleston Doctor. The Eccleston Doctor was pissed.
Yes.
Because how dare you fucking make me do this shit? I didn't want to do this shit. Fuck you, goddamn Dalek. Why not just kill yourself? Which was the episode of the Dalek with Eccleston.
He had a huge hate boner for fucking Daleks.
Yep, and the absolute just destruction of him when the Dalek looked him in the eye and
you would make a good Dalek.
Yeah. When the Dalek told him he would make a good Dalek, that fucked with him. And it should fuck with him. But then Tennant was kind of recovering from that, and he was doing a decent job most of the time, but he still wasn't there. Dr. Donna didn't have that baggage. So it wasn't so much that she was more mature, but it kind of came across as if she was more mature because she wasn't blinded by all the fuck-ups of the past.
Yeah.
And that allowed her to view things more cleanly while the Doctor was still trying to make amends because he felt like he had really done horrendous things. And it's that dead man walking sort of personality with that.
I love the huge. Remember the Waters of Mars with the huge switch where he goes, you know what? I'm not a survivor. I'm the winner. The Time Lord victorious, and to have her like, you're wrong. The Time Lord victorious is wrong, and then it seems like, holy shit, I really fucked up this time.
Yep. And
like,
again, just that amazing character arc. And then Matt Smith was decent. Peter Capaldi, he could have done so much better if the scripts were better.
I think they should have given him a different... Like, all right, Clara... I really hated Clara. On the grounds that they make Clara the key to everything. Like, when she goes back and, like, enters his timeline, like, no. She shouldn't have been the key to everything. She should have never been where she shouldn't have been.
Yeah, they started doing with Capaldi what they had avoided with Tennant and Dr. Donna. Because there's always that thing when you have a character that is amazing. Well, how do you make someone their equal or even surpass them in an element? Dr. Donna managed to surpass Tennant in certain respects in that episode. But it wasn't the Doctor was suddenly stupid. It was there was justification for why they were getting it right. Why Dr. Donna was able to see what was actually happening when the Doctor was being distracted. But then during the Capaldi, they ended up having to degrade the Doctor in order to make the companion shine.
Yeah.
And this is a massive issue with a lot of writing now, where rather than having your character earn, and this is the defining feature of a Mary Sue.
Mm-hmm.
A Mary Sue isn't that they're perfect at everything and they have no flaw. The main issue with a Mary Sue is that the way that they demonstrate their perfection is they have an aura of stupid. Where it isn't so much that they're better than everyone else. It's that everyone, the moment that they're around them, becomes incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this time and again with every fucking Mary Sue in existence, all the way back to the original Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Where Mary Sue, for those who don't know, from a Star Trek fanfiction.
She was the bestest ensign ever.
Yeah. She was the best ensign ever. Everyone loved her. And rather than writing it in a way where everyone else was still ridiculously capable, it was just that she came up with something due to XYZ that worked that no one else thought of because of reason. It was every character should have thought of the things that she said to do, but they just didn't. It was just they became stupid in her presence. That's the only explanation for how they acted. They were suddenly struck by stupid.
All right, there are stories you could tell where you don't need to degrade legacy characters. You don't need to bring them down. You can make good characters. That everybody has different strengths. If we're using a Doctor Who reference, Doctor has almost 1,000 years of knowledge and lifetimes of going through time and space and doing shit. Now, given problems, say the Doctor has tunnel vision. Like that's a defining trait with a lot of his incarnations. He has tunnel vision. Once he sees a problem, he has to solve it, and he doesn't look at everything else. And that's where your companion, that's where Clara should have been. Like she could just see the macro.
Yep.
You know, whereas he is focused on, I got to stop the Daleks, but all I got is bubble gum and 3 shoestrings. Let me figure out how to do that. Doctor, there's a XYZ going on that we could do something with this. No, I got this bubble gum and shoestring. Let me use this.
A good example from real life and going back into Minion history is I am damn near tech-tarded. Technology, when it comes to computers and how shit interacts, for some fucking reason, doesn't click with me properly. Both Hammer and Polly, extremely knowledgeable about how tech works together. We used to run Minions through Google Hangouts.
Okay.
Then we wanted to come up with a way that we could do things, and everyone was talking about OBS and how OBS works. And they were trying to come up with, we could get the voices through this way, or we could get it through that way, or we could get it through this way. And they were coming up with these extremely competent but complicated solutions. My question, I went, this might sound really fucking stupid. Can we Inception it? And we just set up a Google Hangout, and we just don't go live through it. And we screen cap and audio cap that. And it was this. That might work. It was that they were about to say, that is the dumbest fucking idea. And then it was, that might work. They tried it. That works. Okay, it's a dumb idea, but it works, so it's not actually a dumb idea. Let's do this.
It's so dumb it might actually work.
Yeah. And that's how you can get, if you have extremely capable characters, and you have a character that either you can't write them to be as capable in actual merit, or they don't have the background to justify being as capable in actual merit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way that you do it. You have them come up with something that is the lay answer that the people that actually know what the fuck they're doing, they just immediately go into, well, this is how we could solve this problem, this is how we can solve this problem, and they're going way too deep into detail, or alternatively, they're looking way too big.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're looking too deep in detail, someone's able to point out the big picture. Or because they're looking at big picture, someone's able to go, hey, this thing right here might be of use.
Yeah.
And you get that interplay of the characters where it justifies why they did that and why the characters overlooked the solution. Whereas if you have, yes, this is our technological genius, and this is a problem that was with TNG constantly, where Geordi LaForge was supposed to be brilliant as an engineer. But then every time that they wanted to show off how smart Wesley was,
they screw over Geordi.
Geordi had to become stupid. And this was done as well with strength, because there's the common trope of Big Bad comes onto ship, Big Bad kicks the shit out of 2 or 3 crew members, then Big Bad throws Worf, and that's how you know Big Bad's actually really strong, because they had to diminish Worf in order to make the Big Bad seem that much more big and bad. There's ways that you do that. There's ways that you don't.
Like, you shouldn't. All right. Using that example, you shouldn't have to diminish Worf to get. If you have to diminish Worf to get your point across that somebody is physically strong, like, you could always have like somebody throwing Data. Data is durable as fuck. He had the strength to bend like fucking steel with this rare steel that had like the textile strength of goddamn mountains, if you will, and he could bend it with ease. Have Data have a physical confrontation with said Big Bad, and Data lose and realize, hey, I gotta retreat.
Or one of the ways that you could very easily have a character be preserved in their badass nature is you have to, again, go to the Star Trek route, because Worf is a good example of this. Worf is a warrior. Worf is kind of trained for this shit, but Worf, despite trying not to be overly compassionate, because it's not the honorable way of the Klingons, he is still compassionate. He cares about people. Have it where someone is overmatching him with strength, but he's able to hold his own because he's more skilled. And then there's something that, in order to save one of the other crew members,
he takes a blow.
He takes a blow that he didn't have to take. And it gives you that clear, this guy is stronger than Worf.
And it also builds Worf's character. It showed that, like, you should make it obvious that, like, had he not decided to protect this person, he could have parried the blow, or he could have deflected the blow. But he realized, holy shit, if I do that, I'll hit X, Y, and Z. No, I'll drink it.
Yeah, you do it in a way where it shows that Worf isn't just brute force, because that's kind of what it came across as when it came to Worf as the series went on. It was, Worf is ridiculously strong. But because he was always being beaten, he's ridiculously strong, not ridiculously skilled. Make it so that he's really fucking strong.
Shit, I love what they
But
did with him in DS9.
also really skilled. And it's either a near thing that he loses, because that still allows him to save face, or make it so that there was something else in play that was why he lost, rather than just, oh yeah, he went in, he tried to arm wrestle this guy effectively, and he was weaker.
Yeah.
You can have that sort of build up, and this is, again, one of the things that drives me crazy, and it immediately takes me out of any story. If the author has to break the character that they established for someone. And a really good example of that is, have you ever read the Red Rising series?
No.
Okay, Red Rising is a really good sci-fi series for the first 3 or 4 books.
Okay.
The premise is humanity at some point in the past expanded to a multi-planetary species.
Okay.
But in order to do this, humanity genetically engineered itself, making different sorts of humans to function in different roles.
Okay.
So one section of humanity was augmented to be more durable for environmental conditions. But they aren't as strong, they aren't as smart, they aren't as capable in many other respects.
Okay.
But you put them in a shit condition environmentally, it's too dry, it's too hot, it's too whatever. And they survive. So these were the original people that they would send out to do work. And then afterwards, they kept them around as laborers, but they were low-level laborers. Then you had other strata of the modification where each one was capable of different things. The strata that ended up on top was the golds. And the golds, they weren't as strong as some of the others. Like, there's the obsidians, which the obsidians are these hulking giants that are ridiculously strong. The golds aren't quite as strong as the obsidians, but they're a lot smarter.
Okay.
They aren't quite as dexterous as, I want to say it's the violets, are the ones that have extremely dexterous hands. And the violets end up being musicians and shit like that.
Okay.
But while they aren't quite as dexterous as they are, they're like the second. So in almost every category, they were the first or second, which meant that they were the best overall. And that led to them eventually saying that we're the best, and then creating a very rigid caste system. And the premise of the story is that a person that was born as a red finds out that everything that they've been told up to that point in the story has been a lie.
Okay.
And then they're given a chance to topple the system after everything that they cared about was taken from them. The character is very early on, it's made clear this character is extremely intelligent, and then made more so. He's able to see the big picture, he's able to plan things out, and he's just very, very fucking capable. But he's also human, and one of the bits about him being really human was he doesn't like getting into fights. He fucking loved being in fights, but he didn't like getting in fights. And they make this very clear throughout the story that he's brilliant. He knows what he's capable of. He knows that if he gets in a fight, doesn't matter how much he tries to make it so that the other person survives the fight, there's a chance that the other person will die. So he doesn't want to fight.
Okay.
Fourth or fifth book, they completely break that characterization.
Really?
Yep. Because in order for the story to happen, they needed him to fight someone that was his friend and accidentally kill them.
Really?
But his entire character, up until that book, was he would do anything to avoid that because he knew that no matter how skilled he was, there's always a chance that someone will move just wrong and they'll die. And this is built up over the story where he sees person that he cares about after person that he cares about after person that he cares about move just wrong. When they should have won, they dip to the left when they should have dipped right, and their throat is carved out. Or they went to protect someone when they could have pressed the advantage, and due to that, they died. This is made very clear throughout every other book, and then he completely ignores every lesson that he's had throughout the rest of the book, and he decides, I'm going to fight someone that I care about and is a proper friend of mine. And I'm going to fight them with a real weapon. So it's not even like I'm going to use a training version of the weapon so it's less lethal. No, I'm going to use a fully sharpened sword. And then he carves out his friend's throat by accident.
Really?
And the moment that happened, I set down the book. I haven't picked it up since because that was the fuck you. You broke the character.
If I want this in writing, because I like to write myself. If you have to go against what your character trait, then you need to rethink the situation.
Yeah, there's ways to work it where you don't need to break the character in order to make it happen. And if you've written yourself into a corner like that, talk to other people. See if they can help you out of that corner. Don't just, we have this device, and I'm just going to ignore it.
Or rewrite the plot thread. Like, if it requires him to kill, if the plot needs him to accidentally kill his friend, make it in a way like he gives the friend something that he did not know was poisonous.
Yep. Or if he was going to accidentally kill him in the fight, make it so that rather than him using a proper sword that no shit a sword can kill someone, have it be that he grabbed something else and it was a training sword or it was just a stick.
And he swung it too hard.
Well, I wasn't even going for he swung it too hard. Have it be that they trade back and he's going back and forth with him, but then the person missteps and they fall.
On the stick.
No, not on the stick. They just, let's say that they're fighting on stairs. They fall down the stairs.
They bust his head crack his head on a rock.
Yep. They fall, they crack their head. Make it so it's something that you're going, you legitimately could not have predicted this. But if you're fighting with a sword and then you stab them in the throat and you're going, oh my god, how could have I stabbed them in the throat? Your sword is sharp. Its entire fucking point is stabbing.
How could I have known that stabbing him in the throat would have killed him?
Yeah.
Oh lordy gee.
Make it so that you maintain the character. Because if you break character like that, it just automatically takes me out of the story. There's nothing that can be done to bring me back in. It's a immediate fuck you.
I think one of my biggest pet peeves in writing is time travel to fix everything.
Yep.
Like, that is one of the suckiest Deus Ex Machinas ever. Unless the story is about time travel itself. Alright, fine, whatever. But if you're not doing a time travel story and time travel fixes your problems, yeah, you suck.
Yep. It's, like I said, the thing that takes me out of a story the quickest. And if you can justify why something happened in your story that's ridiculous, that makes me love the story. And it makes me love it a hell of a lot more than I would have otherwise.
Makes sense.
And there's stories that do this constantly. Jim Butcher is fantastic at doing this. He will take everything that he's set up for a character, and it will be that character just being that character. And that being what makes them succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's beautiful. Another really good example is one of my favorite authors, Brandon Sanderson. If I remember correctly, it's Sanderson, who said that the way that he writes is he comes up with the world and all the rules for the world. He comes up with his characters and he places them in that world. And he watches how they act. If one of their vices causes them to suffer, one of their vices causes them to suffer. Mm-hmm. If one of their virtues saves the day, that's because it's one of their virtues. He's not going to suddenly change the character in order to make it so that they can get through. No, it has to be native to the character. Mm-hmm. And he wants all his characters to have a happy ending. But if they die because of who they are, then they die. It's sad. But it's better that they die being them than it is that they just
live on betraying themselves.
End up not being them.
So this ties into one of the reasons why I personally hate gender swaps and race swaps and palette swaps and shit like that of characters. I believe, from a writer's point of view, I believe that once author creates a character, if you change a single hair on their head, it's a brand new character.
See, for me, I have two different camps of characters. There's characters where what their physical description is really matters. So, for example, Snow White.
Yes.
You can't have Snow White not be extremely pale and have it be Snow White. But then there's other characters where there's things that are more important than their skin tone or their hair color. So the example that I always use is Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin fucking worked. Because Kingpin, him being white, wasn't a major feature of his character. The major features of his character, the necessary and sufficient characteristics of Kingpin, are he's brilliant and he is a terrifying wall of muscle.
All right. You know who Driz Erden is, right?
Yes.
If Driz Erden was an orc, it would break his character.
Yep.
It would do, like the racial qualities and half the shit he did. Him being an orc would destroy his character, and
Because
that's how I feel.
he's built around being drow. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's how I feel about most characters. Like Peter Parker being, you know, a waspy, not a waspy 20-something, but being a having the Uncle Ben give him the speech. Those things are essential to his character.
Yep.
And to have, say, Miles Morales, wow, I fucking hate Miles Morales, honestly. You know, not have the same quality, but everyone touts him as Spider-Man really pisses me off. Mm-hmm. Now, and I got into an argument the other day, and I said, like, Miles would be a great character if he divested from being Spider-Man. If he went to, say, the other side of the planet. If he went to, like, California and was there as the arachnid and had his own rogues gallery, I would like him more as a character. Mm-hmm. But because he's tied to Spider-Man, who is essentially Peter Parker, it takes away from Peter.
Yeah. And it takes away from him.
Yeah. It makes it just like the Falcon being Captain America. It takes away from the Falcon.
Yep.
You know? You're saying anyone that wields the shield is Captain America. No, that's not how it worked. You know? I believe it was Stan Lee was talking about how he came up with Wolverine. Originally, Wolverine was just going to be the claws. That's all that was going to be about Wolverine. And he thought about, like, well, anyone that gets the claws can be Wolverine. He didn't want that, you know? So he gave Wolverine the X Factor and made his healing ridiculously strong. Mm-hmm. You know? That way, even without the claws, no one can be the Wolverine or Wolverine.
You could more easily be the Wolverine without the claws than you could without the healing factor.
Mm-hmm.
But,
you know,
there's characteristics that are important to a character, and there's ones that aren't really important.
Yeah, superficial.
To my mind, if it's one of the superficial characteristics that's changed, okay, that doesn't bother me. Unless you're doing it to have something different. It's like the difference between a theater troupe deciding that they're going to have XYZ as the lead for this play versus a movie deciding that. The theater troupe is probably picking the best person that they have available for the job.
Okay.
And they aren't a perfect match. Yep, that makes sense. No problem with that. Works for me.
I mean, for theater troupe.
Oh, go ahead.
I said for theater troupe, it's more that, you know, they're playing the role, and you're not really seeing the theater troupe. You're supposed to see the characters.
Yep.
You're supposed to like the Romeo and Juliet shit with the black Juliet. I could care less because it's not them trying to turn Juliet into like this hipster.
Yep.
Like she's still going to say her lines as Juliet, and you're not supposed to see the race of the person. You're supposed to see the character.
And the way that it works is also that's the best person that
they probably had for the job.
They had to do that job, and that doesn't bother me. If it's the best person for the job, absolutely. If you cast someone and you go, hey, by the way, did you hear that we have a black for this role? That's when I'm going, oh, that's a bad sign. Because at that point, it isn't that they're doing it because that's the best option. Mm-hmm. It's they're doing it because they wanted to have XYZ for that role. Which is also why Martin Clark Duncan being the Kingpin didn't bother me anywhere near as much. Because the advertisements for Daredevil, it wasn't a good movie. But they weren't, hey, did you hear that we have a black man for Kingpin?
Shit.
We have a black man for Kingpin. Isn't that amazing? The Kingpin is going to be black. It
Samuel
was
L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Originally, the role was played by David Hasselhoff.
Yep.
But them casting him as Nick Fury, again, he probably was the best guy for the job. And honestly, I can't see him as anyone but Nick Fury.
Yep.
You know, they're gonna have him, but they didn't like you said, they didn't make. Oh, we got a black Nick Fury now.
Yep. And this is the thing that drives me crazy, because there's a lot of people that will, when they're making this movie and it has a female lead, there's a bunch of people that are confusing what the issue is with that. And you have this on both sides. You have people that are against it, that are going, oh, this is going to be shit because it's a female. And you have people on the other side going, oh, people are saying that this is shit just because it has a female. No, that is not what's being said by anyone with actual sense. The people with actual sense are going, the fact that they're making such a big deal out of this being a female, a black, or whatever in this role is a bad sign, and it means that it's probably shit. And it's not that it's bad because they have that sort of actor in that role. It's they probably have that sort of actor in that role because it's bad, and they wanted something, anything that they could say that they view as positive.
They're trying to gym up. They're trying to get free press.
They're trying to get some sort of support because they know that they aren't going to get it on the quality of the writing.
All right, I just had a thought. All right, Ellen Ripley and Aliens 2.
Yep.
If they'd have cast a black woman instead of Sigourney Weaver, it would make sense. As long as it's Ellen Ripley had to be Ellen Ripley for the story to make sense.
Yep.
If you made her Elliot Ripley, the story doesn't work the same way. Like, the gender swap breaks because she's not a fighter, but when she jumps into that power loader to save Newt, it was those motherly instincts kicking in that fucking made her invincible.
Yep.
Now, and not to say a guy can't do the paternal instincts, it just doesn't fit right.
It's not the same story. You can have another story where that is the case, but it wouldn't be aliens.
Yeah, it wouldn't be aliens.
Something else. It would be a different thing. And being a different thing isn't a bad thing. Being a different thing is amazing. Be something different. This is the point that was constantly made by... why am I blanking on his name? I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. The Marvel... Stanley.
Okay.
Stanley made this point constantly of when people ask, well, will you make Spider-Man gay? Or will you make Spider-Man black? Or will you make this or that? His answer was always, no, but I'll make another character. And
yes.
You should make another character. And hell, if you don't have the ability, I'll make the new character. And that's how Black Panther and several other characters were made. Now, not all of them were fantastic. Black Panther I still find hilarious because it's Afrofuturism. And for some fucking reason, Afrofuturism... No, the thing that always cracks me up about Afrofuturism is, okay, imagine a technologically developed Africa. What do? Well, they milk rhinos and they throw spears.
That's not technically...
What is wrong with you?
Like, why aren't they using space lasers and shit?
Yeah. When it comes to that, you should have... When it comes to sci-fi, you would have different aesthetic for how shit's presented.
Yes.
But the general gadget would probably be almost exactly the same. And this is where I really liked how Stargate did this shit. And also how Farscape did this. Because in both Stargate and Farscape, the tech looked very different. Mm-hmm. But the main battle weapon of every group was a gun of some sort.
Yep.
Now, how that gun looked changed depending upon the aesthetic, but it was a gun.
The Jafar had their little baton, their lance gun.
Yeah, they had two main guns. They had their little, like, asp-looking stun gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had their spear and rifle combo that they had. And that's the same with Tilk in Farscape. Tilk's race.
Tilk was in.
Oh no, sorry. Tilk was Stargate. It's fuck. Why am I blanking on his name? It was another T, wasn't it?
No, it was Carl Doggo.
Carl Doggo. Sorry. Carl Doggo was also warrior race. What did he have? It was a sword mixed with a rifle.
Yep.
Fucking works.
If he can't bash you in the head with it, he'll fucking fire it at you.
Yep. And then you had the Peacekeepers. And the Peacekeepers, what did they have? They had guns. You had every group in each of those had their battle rifle, and then they would have some sort of thing that was their melee weapon. Carl Dalgro had his combo gun and sword. The Jaffa had their combo spear and sword, or spear and rifle. And if you wanted to go for, Afrofuturism, rather than it being a rifle with a knife on the end of it, it was a gun spear.
Okay, that worked too.
That worked.
Fucking Suri in the movie, she fired blast with her fucking the fist things. Why not attach that to a goddamn spear?
Yeah, like I said, you could have it be that you have a gun spear. And gun spear, that's a very cool way of displaying that. Makes sense. You could have a bunch of different ways of doing that. You could have their uniform looks entirely different. Yeah, absolutely. Uniform would be one of the things that changes culturally. The existence of guns wouldn't.
Yes.
You don't have a futuristic society that their most advanced method of ranged combat is, well, we throw a spear.
That's it.
That doesn't happen.
And I can't believe like they used the rhinos for battle. Oh, fucking hell.
And
that was dumb.
If you're going to have melee weapons, you have to have some justification. This is something that a lot of sci-fi gets wrong. It's one thing to have a knife. Everyone should have a knife in every sci-fi setting.
Mm-hmm.
But having large melee weapons, you need to justify that.
You ever seen Outlaw Star?
Yes.
Do you remember like when they go to the space station, like they outlaw guns there because any hole in the wall, any hole,
yep,
and it would fucking kill everybody. So like guns are forbidden. So people roll around with fucking swords when they want to fucking fight.
Having that makes sense. Or you go the Dune route, which is Dune has their kinetic shields.
Yeah.
So anything moving above a certain speed, stopped by the shield. How do you get around that? Well, if you stab them, okay. Melee weapons are back on the table. You have to have some reason why the melee weapon is being used rather than a ranged weapon. And like I said, it would have been something if they went, well, in the Afrofuturism, they did have ranged weapons, but then they developed this ridiculous shielding technology. And with the shielding technology, the way that you get through the shield is you run up and you stab them. Okay, I can deal with this. That works again.
Shit, you could even... I would even accept a culturally thing like that. We'll say, I'll use the samurai, for instance. Like, even when guns were starting to become prevalent, they still used swords. It was a cultural thing. And if you said, like, the reason why the Dormilaje still use melee weapons instead of ranged weapons is because they have to be near the king to protect them, and a stray bullet could accidentally harm the king.
Yep.
Okay, that's why Dormilaje uses it.
What I would still say is they should absolutely have, their melee weapon might be their primary, but they should all have range.
Well, again, when they're not protecting the king, I can see them using, I gotta worry about hitting the king, so.
Yep. So there should always be something explaining why that shit's in your setting, rather than just it being, oh, okay, so you have the heroes all using melee weapons. Don't you have fusion generators? Why aren't you using railguns and shit? Rather than
why is our starships firing cannons, but we're boarding them and we're fucking stabbing motherfuckers?
Yeah, there's reasons that you can give for that. You don't want to puncture the ship's hull. Okay, that can be used in certain situations. Not in every situation, but in certain situations, sure, that makes sense. If you're in the viewing area of a ship, and it's a lot of windows in this section, then you're probably going to go with melee weapons.
A lot of fracturable glass that we,
Yep,
once we get shot, we're all fucked.
Even though it's really thick glass, and the chance of you being able to puncture it is not very likely with standard small arms, do you really want to chance it? Okay, that makes sense to me. I can deal with that explanation. Yeah. But there's no justification, there's no shielding tech that keeps it from being viable. There's no, we use this as a ceremonial thing, because that's another thing. I could understand if it was ceremonial. They use this. So duels, everyone carries swords in this society because dueling is still a thing. And the duels are fought with swords rather than with guns. So everyone carries swords. And if we're talking about major military operations, it's going to be guns.
Yeah, we use rifles when we're doing military operations, but between our people and fighting, you call me out for a duel, we're going at it blades. Yeah,
which is what the goddamn
Dune. The first knife.
Yeah, Dune. Well, Dune was also, they had the shielding, so the shielding could only be punctured by things that were moving slow enough. So that was the reason why swords and melee weapons were used in Dune. But in Star Trek, you had ritualized combat in several societies. They still used fucking guns elsewhere. Yeah, the Klingons used guns elsewhere. But the Klingons also, hey, we're having a fucking disagreement. I challenge you to a duel. Now we have these weird fucking swords.
Or other weapon that we use.
Yeah. And you have that in a bunch of different things. I can understand that. But don't make your Afrofuturism, we throw spears at each other. And if you make it, we throw spears at each other, don't get pissed off when I go, let me get this straight. Your view of Afrofuturism is they're spear chuckers? Because that's the future you put forward.
Yes.
I don't put that forward. My view of Afrofuturism is, like I said, it would have African aesthetic to the uniforms and shit like that. But they would be using guns.
Yes.
And they might have slightly different design for their guns. Like, did you know that there was a war of different types of buttstocks early on in firearms? because it wasn't always that the butt stock was molded to the shoulder.
Okay.
There was a certain type of firearm stock known as a cheek stock.
Really?
Yep. What it was a piece of wood that was carved so that it kind of contoured to your face and pressed over a large section of your face.
Okay.
And it was positioned such that your eye would stare straight down the optic, or not the optic, but the barrel, so that you could aim where you were firing it. It was welded to your face by its very interesting shaped sort of stock, and that's how you would fire the gun.
Okay.
There was also the normal shoulder stock was at the same time. Then there was another type of shoulder stock where rather than it being just kind of on the front of the shoulder, it was almost like a shoulder harness.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a chest stock on certain guns early on in firearms. So you want to say that Afrofuturism had a chest stock rather than a shoulder stock? Sure, I can believe that. So you have a different looking gun, and rather than it being a bayonet, so a knife stuck on the end of a gun, they have it more like it's a spear. Absolutely, that makes sense. I can work with that. Don't tell me that they just throw spears. Give me something else. Give me a different aesthetic. Make it so that, oh yeah, their futuristic garb is reminiscent of historical African garb.
Okay.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Works for me. I'm not going to complain about that. Because, yeah, if you're talking about a futuristic society, futuristic Japan, if you ignore the Western industrialization and you say, what if Japan was the one to industrialize?
Mm-hmm.
You would have a lot more kimonos.
You would.
And a lot more yukatas and very traditionally Japanese style clothing. The workman diaper thing, that would be common. And that would be how people dress, and I'd go, yeah, that makes perfect fucking sense.
I mean,
because
you still have the samurai class that they would still they would still carry their swords, traditional, but they would probably have guns as well.
yeah, if you're talking complete futurism, you would potentially have the kind of upper crust that would have melee weapons, but you would have your primary weapon be some sort of firearm.
It would add to their arsenal. So instead of having, the katana and the wakizashi, it would be the katana, the wakizashi, and whatever pistol they had.
And what it would probably be is much like in Europe, where Europeans kept swords for an extended period of time as well. And then the swords were slowly phased out, but the style of knives were very European styles of knives.
Shit, we had swords up until we still use swords in the fucking Civil War.
We had them after that. Do you know what Patton's first major paper was on?
No.
It was on the benefits of a straight cavalry saber versus a curved cavalry saber.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That was the paper that first got Patton focus from the upper officers of the army.
Okay.
Was him writing a paper on the benefits of a straight saber versus a curved saber for cavalry. The man who did a fuck ton to modernize the American Armored Corps, his first paper was straight cavalry sabers, kind of fucking awesome.
And shit, when did we start using horses for cavalry?
It was late. Cavalry was still extremely common in Europe all throughout World War One, and then the last few cavalry charges were effectively World War Two.
Wow.
Yeah. Cavalry was around for a long-ass fucking time.
Yep, because inroad to 600.
I mean, hell, the U.S. was still using Cav Scouts during World War II.
Really?
Yeah. We had Cav Scouts in with everything else as we had developed for scouting, because horses can move a long distance very quickly. So we still had Cav Scouts because they were effective. They were falling out of usefulness. They had a higher death rate than they did in previous wars, but we still used them.
Hell, imagine if we still had cavalry. We still use cavalry nowadays.
If I'm not mistaken, there's been a couple times that we functionally have.
Really?
I think there was a massive, effectively, spec ops evacuation at one point that half the people rode out on horses.
And it's still not the same as a good old cavalry charge, you know, a hammer and anvil situation.
Oh, yeah, because we developed past that. But the point stands that what I would expect of Japan futurism would be, they would still kind of have this reverence for the katana, just like we have a reverence for swords. We still think that they're fucking cool, and we like having them. But it wouldn't be their primary weapon. Their primary weapon would be a firearm, and their knives would be more in line with traditional Japanese knives, just like European knives are mostly in line with traditional European knives. But they would have, just like we have the tanto tip in knives that are made in the West, they would have, I don't know, a saber tip.
Okay.
Which would be their nod to European swords and European knives. It would be something that was, the Europeans had this sort of knife profile or this sort of blade profile. That was really fucking useful. We'll adopt that. And it would be knives and guns would be their primary, but their style of clothing would be different. Their cultural influences would be different. Their media would be different. Rather than everyone knowing the Nutcracker Suite, everyone would know
the story of Monogatari.
Or the Ronin.
Yeah.
It would be a shit ton of Japanese stories would be everywhere cultural. If it was Africa was the one that developed, like I said, it would be their style of dress would be more traditionally African, but new traditionally African, and developed traditional African.
It depends on where in Africa it developed first. Say Egypt developed, we'd be, more
robes.
Egyptian style.
Shit ton of robes.
Yeah. If, say, Ghana and Mali were the ones to develop, we'd have more Ghana and Mali styles.
Yep. It would be dependent upon where the culture is, how that culture dressed, and it would be a natural progression from that culture's style.
God, if India got there first, oh Jesus Christ.
A lot of saris. And for our Canadian viewers, saris. Not sorries, saris. They're a style of Indian dress.
Yes.
But yeah, it would be a very different world with those cultures. And again, it would be very different stories. Rather than everyone knowing Greek and Roman and Norse mythology, it would suddenly be everyone's cultural references. If it was a Egyptian society that advanced, it'd be a shit ton of Arabic and ancient Egyptian.
Yes.
If it was the Zulu that advanced, it'd be Zulu mythology that everyone would fucking know.
Mm-hmm.
And Zulu stories, if it was the Aztecs, God fucking forbid, the Aztecs were the ones that advanced.
Jesus fucking Christ, there'd be a lot of sacrificing.
Yeah. But you would have these different cultures. They would have very different styles of dress.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that weapon-wise, there would be cultural convergence towards firearms.
That there would be some overlap. Like, again, the firearm issue, the propel rock go fast would be a common thing. I don't have to deal with you if I can hit you from afar.
Yeah,
but if I have to deal with you, I'll have a melee weapon.
It would be, some societies might be more prone to use flechette rounds, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than the standard round being the standard bullet as we know it, their standard round might be flechette. Like, I could very easily imagine a Amazonian group, if they were the ones that developed their primary round being flechette because blowguns.
Mm-hmm.
That just fucking makes sense. What if we had our blowgun, but we put a powder charge behind it? So they just made blowgun darts that then they fired with a powder charge.
Fast.
That is effectively a flechette round. And then they would develop from that. And that would be one of the societies that would probably have the cheek weld as their firearms stock rather than the shoulder.
Shit, imagine... sorry to cut you off. Imagine if, say, the Aztecs did develop first. Imagine, because they use Abyssinian in their weaponry.
Yep.
The Abyssinian bullet would fucking eviscerate bodies.
Oh yeah, it would be shrapnel. Because obsidian shatters.
But it's extremely sharp too, so it would get in there and it would dig in and fucking shatter on impact. So it's multiple spots being dug in.
Yep.
Ugh.
And Aztec landmines would be fucking terrifying.
Oh God, Jesus Christ! Aztec cannon shot would eviscerate shit too.
Yep. Because Aztec landmines, just like glass landmines, in this hypothetical futuristic Aztec society, would probably not use metal. They would probably use various types of glass, including obsidian.
Which would be hard to detect.
Shell and shit like that. Which you couldn't just swing a metal detector over.
Yeah,
but,
that's terrible.
Yeah, it's, again, when you're talking about a futurist society based on some culture other than European futurism, which is functionally what people are claiming that we have. But you could go far more European futurist than our current system. And it's kind of fun imagining more European futurist.
Shit, imagine a French futurism or a Scottish futurism.
All the flags are white.
Yeah. Everyone's wearing a kilt with hardened symbols. Shit, Irish would be more jigs.
Yeah. You would have... You'd have different cultural aspects that get brought to the fore.
Mm-hmm.
You would have different stories. You would have very different styles of dress, depending on which sort of futurism you're talking about. And that's where the futurism should really be. Not, well, we're thinking Afrofuturism. Okay, what's the futuristic component? How do they fight? They throw spears at each other. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Because you took the wrong lesson.
That's the thing that drives me crazy every fucking time. It's when someone imagines Afrofuturism, it seems to always be they throw spears. That isn't futurist. That's, I would argue, really fucking racist in the proper sense of the word. If you're going, the most advanced martial technology that Africans could ever develop is throwing a spear, you're fucked in the head. If you want to have futurist society, make a properly futurist society. Make it interesting. Give it those cultural aspects. But keep in mind where tech would probably converge and where it would diverge.
Shit. A futuristic society, like you said, different textiles would be overly developed. Like you said. Like where we use wool and cotton, I'm pretty sure Afrofuturism, they wouldn't have this. Maybe more linen based.
Yep.
Shit, that, instead of everybody planting cotton farms, they'd have more linen farms, during slavery times. So, shit.
Yep. And this just goes on and on when it comes to how to write an actual futuristic society that people just constantly get wrong. And it's infuriating how wrong they are when they're doing it, because it's insulting the way that they view the future from different groups. Again, when people say something's racist, this is what they should mean. When your idea of, well, what if this society was futuristic? Okay, they didn't change despite developing technology. What?
They didn't evolve. Shit. Alright, so using the Wakanda thing, Wakanda should have taken over all of Africa. You're telling me that by the time this shit comes down, there wasn't a warmonger king that, like, you know what? I know I'm more advanced than my neighbors. I'm taking everything over.
Yep. If Wakanda had been made realistically, it should have functionally been Wakanda went to conquer the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And if you wanted an isolationist Wakanda, okay, there's a very easy way of making an isolationist Wakanda. Do you know what it would be?
What?
Wakanda went to take over the rest of the world. It was more advanced than everyone else.
But they united against them.
But everyone else fought against them and kicked their ass by stealing tech and using better tactics. Which results in suddenly Wakanda has been kicked around and forced out, making them more worried about what they're going to do and how they're going to operate. So they pull back in order to avoid being exterminated by all the people that they fucked over. That's an interesting way of doing Wakanda.
Shit. Have Wakanda... at some point, Wakanda consumes all of Africa into one big-ass nation. And have that, like you said, everybody fought against them and united. And it's like the NATO of the stop will keep Wakanda contained. Like the moment Wakanda steps out of Africa, everybody's ready to fuck them up.
Yep. And a good example of something like that is, it's a fan theory in the Harry Potter books, but it's done in a bunch of other different series. When it comes to why is it that monsters and wizards and shit like that hide, and in a bunch of different settings, it's, well, they didn't always hide. They used to very overtly display their power.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, people are really fucking clever
Yep.
and massively outnumber everything else.
Yep.
So yeah, a vampire can take on a human. Even 10 humans, 20 humans, maybe 30 humans.
But the moment that sun come up,
The moment that sun comes up, they start burning. And also, yeah, they can handle 30 humans in a fight. What about 30,000? What about 40,000? What about 300,000? What about 3 million?
shit, they don't have to do that. Like, using the vampire example, they have a massive weakness that we don't possess. They can't stand the sun. Like, we start dragging coffins out into the daylight and literally opening them. And if it don't burn, it's dead. If it does, it's dead.
Yep. And this goes with a bunch of different things. So, why is the magical world hidden? Yeah, wizards can do a lot of shit. You have to sleep at some point.
Yep, and eat.
And if a human, even if you can release a death curse, if a human's willing to sacrifice themselves,
boom,
to kill you, you're still just as dead. So yeah, you might be able to take on a human, a dozen humans, 30 humans, 60 humans, 100 humans. Eventually, there's going to be a number of humans that you can't. And that's before we started developing tech. Oh, you're a vampire. Here's a sun.
Here's a set of mirrors that reflect it right into your fucking face.
No, I much prefer, oh, you're a vampire. Here's the sun. We just dropped it on you.
Yeah. Shit, using vampires, the UV light
Do you
from fucking...
really think that you want this shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of my favorite tropes when it comes to fantasy, is that, yeah, all the things that go bump in the night are real. The problem is, they realize how terrifying humans are when all humans are pointed in one direction.
Humanity united is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, can you imagine the unrelenting hell that vampires would experience if they made it obvious that vampires existed?
Have you ever played the Soul Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver series?
I have not.
All right, so it's a fairly fictional society, but I bring that up when you said like when humans are united. In that storyline, in that world, vampires were fucking exterminated down to the very last because one man, Mobius, united all the humans against them because one vampire killed a young king.
Yep.
One vampire. And he used that fervor and turned them to like religious zeal. Like, oh God, there they come. They're coming to kill us. You know, they killed our noble and just king, and we're next. So they literally rallied them all together. He rallied all of humanity in that area, and they exterminated every vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So again, when humans work together, they're fucking dangerous.
Yeah, it's my favorite theory in a bunch of different fantasy settings, and in some fantasy settings, it's not a theory. It is stated straight up. Yeah, we fucking hide from them because one of us can take on one of them, no problem. That's not a issue. That's nothing that anyone has to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
It's when hundreds of thousands of them are in play. Yeah, not a single one of us wants to fuck with that.
The unity of humanity. Like we stay at war because if we unite against something, they're fucked.
And the part that I love about it is it plays into humanity was an endurance predator, a persistence predator.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same sort of idea. Yeah, we aren't as strong, We can't do all the shit that all the animals can. We can run them to death. And it's the same fucking thing with fantasy creatures. Yeah, you might be able to kill one of us. There's a lot more. Run.
And you
Never
got a
stop
glaring
running.
weakness. You got a huge glaring weakness that we can exploit. You know, so go right ahead. Make your move.
Yep.
You'll still be dead by the time we're done with you.
Yeah. That's the thing when it comes to writing. Write a consistent world.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to have it be that, oh, wizards have absolutely nothing to fear from humans, why are wizards hiding? If you're going to make it so that the things that go bump in the night have nothing to fear, why do they hide? If they have something to fear, okay. Make it so that at least enough of them know that they're keeping everything in check. Because if you're dealing with it's a really good premise for a villain. You have an evil wizard that they're deciding, no, I'm strong enough, fuck this, no more hiding. Hell yeah, works as the villain.
I keep bringing up references, but I like it. Have you ever heard of Vampire the Requiem?
Yes.
All right, so you know one of the prevalent theories of why vampires exist is they're humans' natural predator.
Mm-hmm.
They keep the sheep from overgrazing.
Yep.
And I like that they're, you know, we're you know, for you know, our existence isn't to overfeed, it's to keep you guys from fucking yourselves over.
Yep.
And that's why I love the Lancaster Sanctum.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of fantasy series play with that. And I love when they play with that. And they make it part of their lore. And like I said, it's a fan theory in Harry Potter as well, that a lot of people claim is hinted at throughout the Harry Potter series. I am one of the people that will go, yeah, it's absolutely hinted at in Harry Potter, to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most obvious hints of it is in the Half-Blood Prince at the very beginning of the book. There's a scene that I wish was in the movie. I've talked about this I don't know how many fucking times on the screen, but it's an amazing scene in the book where it's Cornelius Fudge meeting with the English Prime Minister and apologizing because the English Prime Minister is shitting himself over he's going to lose the next election because everything's been going to shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Cornelius Fudge comes into the office of the Prime Minister, which, by the way, remember it's called the Ministry of Magic, right?
Yes.
Do you know what sections of the English government are called?
Ministries.
Yeah. So it's the Ministry of Magic, which makes it sound like it's part of the English government. And then you have the Minister of Magic reporting to the English government, to the Prime Minister. This is what's going on. This is everything that's been happening. You know how there was a building that blew up? That wasn't you guys. Sorry, we have a war going on. You know how there was that bridge that collapsed? Yeah, that was us as well. You know how this is happening? Yeah, that was us as well. The theory is that at some point, magic was far more common, which is why we know about Merlin and all these magicians and sorcerers and wizards throughout myth and legend.
Mm-hmm.
But then people got sick and tired of wizards dictating shit, and there was a war, and the humans won. And since then, the various magical governments of the world have all been subjugated by the human governments. So you have the Ministry of Magic, which is part of the English or the Great British government. And you'd have an American version of it, probably the Department of Magic.
With a secretary.
Yep. Which, again, that's an idea that I absolutely love because it explains why else would they be hiding? If you had all these powers, would you be hiding? Fuck no. So why are they hiding?
Yeah, why, if I could manipulate reality to a whim and destroy you with a word. Yeah.
You have to say, Vada Cadaver, I have to pull a trigger.
Point and click.
Yep.
Shit. What if I remove your ability to speak? What if I cut out your tongue?
Yeah. Oh, you can do silent casting? Okay. So you kill someone. Someone else shoots you. You're just as dead. Oh, you can kill a fair number of people by doing a large explosion? Again, it comes back to we can drop a sun.
Shit, again, you have a glaring weakness. You have to speak, and I can cut out your tongue, or I can just break your wand. What's kind of brittle?
That is another thing that reminds me of a really good fantasy series, The Gentlemen Bastards.
Okay.
It's a fantasy series that is following a couple criminals. They're thieves, but they're gentlemen thieves. And in the world, magic exists. There's an entire group of magicians that they're effectively the magic cartel / monopoly. If there's a magician that doesn't want to work for them or with them, they have enough magicians that they can just kill them.
Oof.
If a government wants to try to go against them, they have enough magicians. They can kill them. They can eradicate an entire nation. So everyone's shit scared of magicians, especially since the magicians have a rule. If you kill a magician, doesn't matter how many magicians it takes, you're dead.
So it's essentially the untouchable law of magicians.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's effectively a magician mafia. It's a magic cartel where they make it very clear, don't fuck with us. And if you try to fuck with us, we're going to absolutely destroy you. And there's nothing that you can do to stop us. There's nothing that you can do to hide. We will find you. And that's one of the interesting things, because in the first book, very early on, a magician starts fucking with the main characters. And the story kind of unfolds from there.
Wow.
It's a really fucking good series. And it's one of those series that, again, they think through things. So the character that they establish is an absolute badass physically. Doesn't have the point where suddenly he's no longer a badass because they need to make something happen. No, there's always a reason why shit happens. And it's fantastic. It's a series that I absolutely recommend. But I just noticed the time.
God damn it.
Yeah, 2 hours went by fast.
Yes, it has.
So, do you have any parting words that you want to leave off with?
If you're passionate about something, devour it. Don't let it devour you.
Nice. Let's see. Should I go for something new or something old?
Old.
Old. Okay. Let me quickly check what would be a good one.
He's scanning his tomes. He's reading through his scrolls. He's gonna find the ancient wisdom of Solomon.
Oh, I told you about my little notebook that I keep, didn't I?
No, sir, you did not.
Every now and then I'll take down notes of things that I think of or things that I find that are particularly pithy. And I write them down just to help me remember. And let's see. What is a good one? Should I do the one about friends? I think I might do the one about friends.
Okay.
I don't need friends who change as I change, who nod when I nod. My shadow does that much better anyways. And with that, I'll leave off. Have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. And now I click this, and